In this video lesson, we will be discussing how to find the distance between 2 points. So what we're talking about are 2 points in which we have the coordinates. It might be 2 points on a graph, or it might just be 2 points where we know the coordinates. For example, I have point A, I know its coordinate is x1, y1, and I have point B, and I would know its coordinates are x2, y2. x1 and y1 would be replaced with numbers, and x2, y2 would also have numbers in place as well. So we're going to learn how to find the distance between these 2 points. The distance between these 2 points is basically the length of the line that's connecting them. So we're learning how to find this length. Now, an important thing to remember before we move on is that the length you're going to be finding is always going to be a positive number. If you end up with a negative number, you probably made a mistake somewhere. So the formula for finding the distance between 2 points, using my same example where A is my x1, y1, B is my x2, y2. We calculate the distance using this formula written here. So this symbol here, DAB, that just means the distance between AB. This is the proper notation. So it's a small d, brackets, and then the end points in capital letters. So the distance between A and B. So the formula is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So it's important to notice that basically what we're doing here is x2 minus x1, that's the change in x. And y2 minus y1, that's the change in y. So it's basically the square root of the change in x squared plus the change in y squared. But this is really the formula that you're going to be using most of the time. So let's try an example. We're given 2 points, A and B, and we're asked to find the distance between the 2 points. Well, your first step should be to label them x1, y1, and x2, y2. It doesn't matter which one you label as 1 and which one you label as 2. All that's important is that whichever one is x1 also has to be y1. So I'm going to choose A to be x1, y1, and B to be x2, y2. It's a lot easier to label them first and then put them into the formula. You're less likely to make mistakes. So I'm finding the distance of AB. So it's the square root of brackets x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. I'm rewriting the formula here. It's good practice to always write the formula first, then put in the numbers. That's the proper way of showing your work. You have to state what the formula is so that when I'm correcting your work, I'll know if you've used the correct formula. So now I'm going to put in the numbers. My x2, is -2, and my x1 is 3, so minus 3 squared, plus my y2 is 6 minus 4 squared. Okay, so now you should use your orders of operations to solve. First thing we're going to do is simplify the bracket. Inside the first bracket, -2 minus 3 is -5 squared, plus 6 minus 4 is 2 squared. Now we'll square them. -5 squared, that gives us a positive 25, plus 2 squared, that gives us 4. A little word about finding the square root of a negative. It's important that you put it in brackets on your calculator and then square it. If you don't put the negative inside of brackets, the calculator is not going to be solving it correctly. Whenever you square a negative, you should always end with a positive, because essentially what we're doing is this: -5 times -5. 2 negatives multiplied together always give us a positive. So to continue with my example, I'll continue over here. 25 plus 4, that's 29, so we have the square root of 29. Do that on your calculator. You should get 5.39. Now, since this represents a distance, you need to have units. We weren't given any units in this example, so you just put U or you write units to show that to indicate that you know that there are units. All right, let's try this next example. In this example, you're asked to find the area of a circular pool whose diameter has endpoints A, -2, -8, and B, -4, 6. So if you're asked to find the area, well, you need to think about what is the formula for the area of a circle. Well, that's pi r squared. So the value you need to find before you can calculate this is r. R is the radius. Well, remember the radius is 1/2 the diameter. So you need to find the diameter. Well, the diameter is going to be the distance between A and B. So we need to find that. Okay, so we'll write the formula to start with. Square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Put in the values. So I'm going to choose my x2 to be the A, just to do something a little bit different. x2, y2. This will be my x1, y1. Okay, so my x2 is -2 minus -4 squared plus y2, -8, minus 6 squared. I'm going to ask you to finish solving this problem. Use the orders of operations. Use your calculator. So pause the video here, please. Finish the problem. And then we'll see if you got the right answer. Pause the video here, please. Okay, so you should have gotten as an answer for the diameter, you should have ended up with square root of 200, which is going to give you 14.14 units. So I didn't show all the work here. I expect you to have shown it, though, in your notes. Now that we have the diameter, we can find the radius. I'll do it on the side here. So the radius is 14.14 divided by 2. So my radius is 7.07 units. So now I can find the area. My area is pi r squared. That's 3.14 times the radius, 7.07 squared. So remember, you do the exponents first, 7.07 squared on your calculator, then times 3.14. And if you put it in your calculator correctly, you should get 156.95. Remember, you need to have units. So it's going to be units, and since it's area, it's units squared. This is the secret question for this video. I'd like you to copy it down and solve it, showing all your work and all your steps. I will be checking this in class, in our next class, and I will only be marking it complete if you've shown all your work. That includes writing the formula, putting in the numbers, solving it, and making sure to include units. So please copy down this secret question and complete it for next class.